Tonight, basic schools forced to resort to unapproved textbooks due to government's failure to supply full complement of approved textbooks 4 years after new curriculum was introduced.
Of course, there was one or two teachers who were using some books which were not approved. But it was for the teachers. They said that they are using it to help in their preparatory.
We hear from the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment that is threatening to sanction publishers, placing NACA firmly on a coalition course with the Ghana Publishers Association that insists the state agency is simply being mischievous.
NACA should not pretend. NACA is under the Ministry of Education, and they ought to understand. They have to link up with the ministry these years. And by now, they will have understood that the ministry do not buy all the books. So when they go to the schools, they should not expect every child to have textbook before him or her.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. Now, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment is tonight alarmed by evidence that more basic schools are resorting to unapproved textbooks due to government's failure to supply them with a full complement of approved textbooks. It has been 4 years since the new curriculum was approved for use in schools across the country, but Joy News is learning tonight that despite several assurances, schools still lack the full complement of the books. This revelation came to light during a tour by officials of NACA to some basic schools in Accra to assess and scrutinize proposed textbooks for these institutions. Now, the Director General of NACA, Professor Edward Appiah, says it's unacceptable for teachers to use unapproved books when the recommended textbooks have been procured by government.
Of course, there was one or two teachers who were using some books which were not approved. But it was for the teachers. They said that they are using it to help in their preparatory, which is fine. And so we encourage teachers, even parents, to make sure that the books that are being used, they check to see whether surely it has been approved or not. The ones that they are not in, and as I just indicated, the minister have tasked NACA to get the data for every school, especially now that we are doing NST, we've been doing P6, we've been doing DHS. We need to have the data so that it can be used to do the distribution, because it's sad when the materials have been procured, the textbooks have been procured, yet the schools think that they don't have them. And the minister is worried, and he has taxed, even it's an adult tax, but we will make sure that we get the data so that the supplies will go directly to the schools and we will cut short these issues of we don't have them, even though it's been supplied.
Well, the head teachers themselves are now confirming right in front of the NACA officials that indeed they have received some of the textbooks, but they are not the full complement. It's not the full complement. It's just not enough what they have, compelling them to find ingenious ways of teaching these children. Take a listen to the head teacher of Manchataki 1 Primary, Belinda Dede Sefako.
In a way, I would say yes, because the children need it to, at least when they see pictures of things, it will help them. When they see the pictures and they are able to read too, it helps them. The teachers jot down a few points for them, but if they have the books, it will help them. The curriculum started in 2019. It was simple. Yes, we've had this challenge, but they've solved it to a point. So, by providing some of the books for us last year. The other 3 have not been provided, so at all, yes.
Well, my colleague Jacqueline was with the NACA officials when they went round. She's in the studio with me. How many schools did you visit and what more did you learn?
All right, so we visited 4 schools, namely Manchetaki Schools and Calvary Methodist School and Amugi Cluster of Schools and St. Paul's Lutheran School. Some of the teachers indicated that they had to resort to the internet to download learning materials because they do not have the approved textbooks, and they also use references in the curriculum to download the materials.
Okay. I wonder what the response was from NACA because they were discovering this themselves while on the ground.
All right. So he admitted that some of the teachers were using unapproved textbooks, but was quick to add that the practice was unhealthy. He also warned that NACA will soon crack the whip to flush out publishers and printing unauthorized books in the market. So let's take a listen to that.
Now, our LI, which is currently with the Attorney General's Department working on and will be placed in, in Parliament very soon, has now given us the power. Once it passes, which we hope it will be passed very soon. Of course, our Parliamentary Select Committee on Education are even etching that the document comes before them so that they quickly pass. And then it will give us that power and emboldenment to punish, because we've prescribed some punishment in. Beyond that, of course, if we find out that the publisher has violated the rules and he has misconducted himself or herself, we'll just have to blacklist the publisher and we'll announce that you'll be shamed. So basically, these are some of the things. Even though currently we will not even have what it takes to punish you, I think that by the mere mentioning of the publisher and its infractions is good enough.
I want to bring in the president of the Ghana Publishers Association, Asari Konedu Yamwa, joins us on the line right now. Mr. Yamwa, why are you flooding our schools with textbooks unapproved by the sole agency mandated to do so?
Thank you, Evans, and good evening to your listeners. I want to believe that NACA, if you have gone further extensively, will have admitted that if there are any books that are in the system that, so to speak, are unapproved, it is their own doing. NACA lacks the capacity to assess and approve textbooks in the country. They don't have enough assessors. They are under-resourced. And therefore, as we speak currently, they are supposed to roll out the Common Core textbooks. And as we speak, publishers have developed textbooks for the junior high schools. We are unable to send those books to the schools because NACA is not working. So if NACA,
you said NACA is not working,
unapproved in the system, sometimes like every investor, and there is a regulator, and that regulator is unable to articulate or more or less do his or her work. What do you expect the business person to do?
But you make a very strong accusation that NACA is not working.
I am putting this on record that NACA currently is not working.
And explain, when you say it's not working, what do you mean?
Excuse me?
When you say NACA is not working, what do you mean?
I mean NACA currently is not assessing books. You see, the DG spoke about their LI, which is before the AG and all that. Before NACA can go ahead to assess and undertake its mandate, that LI must be passed by Parliament. Because that is the enabling legislation that will empower NACA to do all that the law has asked them to do. Without that, NACA cannot work. And that is exactly what is happening at NACA. And they do not have the resources to be able, because by now, I don't know whether they are training adequate assessors. You see, formally, we have issues with the way they assess the books. You can't just invite any other person for the fact that that person teaches English, mathematics, and you think that that person can be an assessor. Assessment of books is a skill, and NACA must train dedicated assessors within the system. And they have them
Mr. Yamwa, assuming what you say is true, that NACA isn't working, is that your excuse for putting on the market and in schools books that are unapproved?
I am yet to get any evidence from the NACA that publishers are putting unapproved textbooks in the system.
But they found some today. They found some today.
Concerned.
They found some today. We were with them in the school when they found some of the
So
books
you see,
there.
Evans, what they need to do is to let us know the publisher that is in charge is doing those books that, so to speak, is unapproved by NACA. Because so far as we speak, the books that they are in the system are the basic books, primary 1 to 6 books that have been approved by NACA. As I said, we are still waiting for NACA to approve or assess and approve books for junior high schools. So if NACA indeed went around and they saw books that are unapproved, NACA should be able to come out with a statement indicating or listing the publishers whose books they found which have not been approved by NACA. But you can't make that stupid.
Stay with me, Mr. Yamwa. Stay with me, because we need to really also explore why, after 4 years, we still do not have the full complement of the textbooks, which is really at the heart of the problem, forcing the teachers to go out there, some of them, to get what they can find, approved or not, to help the children in school. Thankfully, Director General of NACA, Professor Edward Appiah, joins us now. Prof, the president of the Ghana Publishers Association is clear that what you found today, the unapproved textbooks in some of the schools, is because you have failed to work. You aren't working, you lack the capacity, and that is why what you found today actually exists. You accept that NACA has failed or is failing?
Ivan, thank you very much, and good evening. First of all, we decided to visit these schools, and all the schools that we visited were basic schools, primary, lower primary, upper primary. As we speak, even if you go on our website, NACA has approved not less than 1,200 books for these primary schools, including supplementary material. Now, if the president is saying that NACA has not approved the books, which book did the government procure for the schools? You see, we don't want to have any confrontation with publishers. All that we are interested in, the books that are being used, are they approved or not? What kind of gimmicks or marketing gimmicks are they using? We went, and your reporters were there, we went to the schools. We saw the government-approved textbooks being provided. Indeed, there were some schools that, and your reporter can attest to it, a class of maybe 35, we could see 2 people using one book. And then we asked, do you have enough? They said, yes, we've divided it into 2, and they are using half. We agreed that it will not get spoiled, so that if some gets spoiled, they replay it. And I said, how? The policy is that we should have every chance we have one. If the president is saying that NACA is not working, so people approve the books that the students are using.
Respectfully, Evans, I want to come in here, Evans.
Please.
Mr. Yama, just a second. Mr. Yama, just a second.
With you, we are still even assessing books. You know, when we came on the scene, there were a couple of materials that have been sent for NACA to approve. We realized that we need to sanitize the system and make sure that we get things right. Of course, I had an interaction with the publishers, and I told them that please give us some space. We want to sanitize the system. As I speak with you now, they were not even trained as to how to even write standard-based books. And I told them, if we don't take care, we'll go back to the objective base, which we don't want to be. We've moved on. Well, it's not your fault. Somehow, we also share the blame. We needed to go their capacity. We have done this together with British Council. We train authors, publishers, and writers on 2 occasions. Accra, Kumasi, we've trained them on how to write standard-based material. After which, we have taken time to assess all the books that have been there.
So, Prof.
And we go and we see. Look at it. We saw a book which they say based on GES standard curriculum. What is GES standard curriculum? And then they will put NACA logo beside it.
You mean they are engaging? They are also engaging in fraud, because this is fraudulently presenting a book.
And your reporters were there. We could see clearly some of them. And these are primary schools.
But Prof, you say,
So when
are
you
you,
say
have
we are
you,
not
Prof,
working-
let's drill down a bit more.
Yes.
There are books before you currently.
Yes.
Are you assessing these books and you're doing it in a timely manner, considering the constraints that you found in the schools?
Look, we've assessed and approved over 1,200.
When was the last time you had an approval or
even
rejection?
Today, I've signed some books that have been assessed. They are brought to. And then I came from the field. I came to find a pile of letters which were given to me to sign for publishers to come for them. I've signed some today. We are assessing. We are approving. So if they say we are not working, what does he want us to do? That's our mandate. That's what we are here to do. And we are doing it because we know time is of essence. But you see, what we don't want is that if the book is not approved, it has not been brought for assessment for approval. Don't add any gimmick and say NACA approved curriculum.
Okay, Prof, stay with me. Let me bring in Mr. Amma. You've heard him. He says 1,200 books approved so far. Even today, he signed books and approved them.
Yeah, Evans, you see, I do not want to contest what he's saying. But what I want to make emphatically clear is that so long as my members are concerned, we have submitted our books to NACA, and they have been approved by NACA. The subject matter for which some of the books were bought by the ministry, you go to the private schools, publishers are submitting, they are sending their books to the schools, approved by NACA. That was why I made that last statement, that if NACA has gone out and found books that are unapproved, I am expecting NACA to produce the list of the publishers who are doing that illegal sales. I am not saying that NACA has not approved books. We started this program since 2018, 2019, 2020. They approved books. NACA, if I'll say NACA is not working, Professor Appiah should understand that by his own letter he submitted to association to administrate to our members sometime last year or so, that they are working to regularize the system, and therefore they suspended assessment of books.
When was this? When was this?
Last year.
Yeah, but last year,
anyway.
We are in August
But
now.
so
They would have regularized this by now.
If I'm saying NACA is not working, the letter you brought to us, you are not working.
No, but Mr. Yama, let's put that in context. Yes. This letter was last year. We are in August. Have you checked?
No, I have no problem with that. If NACA has resumed assessment of books, what stops NACA, that same NACA, in bringing a letter to us that they have started assessing books and therefore we can submit our works? What stops NACA from doing that? If Professor Appiah today is telling me that they are assessing books, they are approving textbooks, so is it discretionary or what? If you have started working, bring a letter to us indicating that you have started working. We should send our works to you. But you can't tell us that we should suspend sending our books to NACA for assessment, while at the same time you are telling me that assuming you've started working. How do you place these two scenarios?
Professor Appiah, isn't that a fair point? You wrote to them to say you've suspended. You haven't written back to tell them that suspension has been lifted.
Evans, I don't think we have to do banter with this. I can give you evidence of letters that we wrote and we say people should start submitting now. In fact, if you go onto our website, we even publish this and we ask people to submit their books. We are even doing online. And within the online submission, we have even given time, or we have given space where if even you go online and you have challenges, you can still even bring it where we can assess it. Maybe he is not privy to it, but others have done that.
Yeah, Professor Appiah, fundamentally, it's been 4 years since your curriculum that was designed was approved. How come today we still have schools without the full complement of the textbooks?
And this is one of the difficulties that we are encountering. The minister is even worried that after supplying all these books, still people say they don't have the books. And our task now is to make sure that we get the numbers of all the schools and the students so that in supplying we can go directly to the school so that we'll cut off this aspect of, we sent, but we have not received. The minister is worried about this.
So where's the bottleneck? Yep, the minister claims to you that all the textbooks have been printed and sent out, but you met teachers who are now using unapproved textbooks, and they are using online materials unapproved because they tell you they don't have the full complement.
Even, I'm not against a teacher who wants to do research or further research to show up his or her activity by going online to look for resource material. I'm not against that. The teacher, if he has the capacity, he can do that. But what we are against is to use that book which is not approved for the child.
Okay, but I need clarity, Prof. I need clarity. We've talked about that extensively. I need clarity. Are you saying tonight on authority that as we speak right now this evening, the Education Ministry has ensured that all the textbooks needed in the right quantities have been printed and sent out to all schools across the country, and they have the full complement available?
Ivan, you were here when the ministry procured books and supplied to the various schools. And we now hear people don't have books. As I visited today, and I'm telling you, your writers, your reporters are there. We went to school, they were using books, and I asked, do you have all the books? Then they gave me the list. But then I even realized that 2 people were using 1 book. Then I asked, how come that 2 students are using 1 book? And they said, we've intentionally divided the book into 2, and we've kept some so that if these go bad, we'll bring those ones out. But even I wasn't happy about that.
So what, the schools are hoarding the textbooks?
Yes. See, there's something that we all need to find out, and that is one of the things that the minister have tasked NACA to do that. See, you are doing NSC, you are picking data. Go beyond the P2, P4. Get me all the other classes, and let me see the number of students in every school so that I can say, okay, school A, we supplied 35 books. Yes, they said they don't have it. How much was supplied to them? 32. Then we can confidently say that. As we speak now, the ministry have supplied the books. Yes, students, schools say they are not getting it. And this is
again, Prof, you said the ministry has supplied the books. I want to repeat my question. Have they supplied all the books, all the subjects you approved?
All subjects that have come to me, as far as NACA is concerned, we've approved them.
And does that constitute full complement of what is required in this classes?
Yes. All subjects that NACA have developed, I can tell you of a fact that all subjects that NACA has developed have received books on those subjects and have assessed them and approved them.
Okay, but that's the first step. So just a second. So you've approved. So you have
one of the things.
Prof, it's important to clarify this. So you have approved all, but do you know if what you've approved have indeed been printed and sent out to the schools?
I will not be able to do that because, and one of the things that I'm supposed to do is to check the numbers that we are having, because NACA does not procure books, NACA does not print the books, but we approve all subjects that we have developed as far as this curriculum is concerned.
Please stay with me. The Ghana Publishers Association president is still with me, Sari Konodu Yama. Ms. Emma, you print the books. Have you received the contracts and have you executed them for the printing of all the textbooks under this new curriculum?
Yeah, thank you, Ivan. I think that when Dr. Pierre should not go very far, at the ministry, they have their figures. When you take the student enrollment and the contract that's conditioned to the publisher, when you look at most of them, you will realize that the ministry bought 48% of the book requirement. That is why when Dr. Pierre went to the schools, the children were not having one-to-one textbook. The ministry was unable to procure 100%, which means every child must have one textbook.
Okay, so let's clarify. You're saying that only 48% of the books were procured by the Education Ministry. That leaves 52%.
Yes.
Even get it right.
Yes.
when I went to
Professor. Hello, Professor Amwa. Just stay with me. Professor Amwa, stay with me.
I have the figures of the contract of the textbooks that were given to the publishers. When you use your own student people enrollment, you will realize that your books that you procured was not enough to give every child a textbook. So by your own word, the teachers were telling you that they've kept some of their books and are asking two children or two people to use one textbook. How can that happen when the objective of the government is to procure one textbook per child for each subject? So how do you reconcile this? And I'm telling you that the numbers, the procurement that you procured, when you compare that with the people enrollment at the GES, even the procurement constituted about 48%.
And
why would I lie?
And Mr. Yamwa, for the 48% that they procured, have they paid you?
They've not paid. For 2 years now, we've been chasing payment. It's not been paid. You see, these are the frustrating issues that sometimes we go through, and compounded with NACA's own challenges. You bought books. Also, you asked us that we should supply. We were even asking for mobilization. The ministry said that we should supply immediately. You supply and submitted your SRAs, you are going to pay. Now we are in the second year, and the payment has not been done. Even we are not even sure who is paying us.
Professor Apia, that's the evidence there. 48% is what has been bought.
Evans, let me come back again. The essence of this exercise was to check the kind of books that are being used in the schools. Of course, we didn't even go only to the public schools. We even went to private schools. And I can tell you, even the private schools where it is not government that supply, we even saw some books that were being used, yet they were not approved books. Are they telling us that those ones also we had to give them to the students? All that we are saying is that my duty or NACA's activity is to make sure that approved textbooks are the ones that are being used in the schools. And indeed, I can even say that probably Mr. Yamwa, who is heading or who is the president of publishers, might not probably be in the know of some of the books that are being used because the people who printed them might not be part of his association.
Professor Apia, he stated the source of the information. He says the Education Ministry. He's told us how much his members printed and compared to the enrollment. Have you checked this with the Education Ministry?
Evans, I am within the Education Ministry. I'm in the Education Ministry. NACA's mandate is to make sure that books that are being used in the schools are approved books. And we should be sure that, yes, they are safe. I went to a school, the children are using books, approved books, all right. 2 children are using one. I asked, have you received all the books for this? They said yes.
No, but you've said that before, but that is anecdotal. As it's anecdotal. It doesn't give you any clue what the reality is.
For where I sit, I know that schools have received the books. If they are not distributing all of them, it is for the teachers to start bringing out the books. As to whether others have received or not, that is also a different thing.
Yeah, I mean, but you said to me just a short while ago when I asked you if you can vouch that all the books have been printed and sent out, that is not your mandate, so you will know. Your mandate is limited to approval and assessment of curriculum. So you're not in a position to know. That's the fact, is it not?
To help us to flash out people who are selling books or sending books to the schools that are not approved. I believe this is the discussion that we even had.
I know, Evans. I said something. I am saying that so far as our members are concerned, we've complied with the directive that we should submit our books to NACA for assessment and approval. Now you've gone round, you've seen unapproved books. Prof, I'm asking that you make your report public. Publish the list of publishers you found whose books have not been approved. That will help both of us to also make sure that we sanitize the market or the
Okay.
system.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. And as we've just been listening there to the National Curriculum Agency on this particular matter, they are pursuing action on the books that they found. I'm grateful, sir, for your time here on Top Story. And you've listened there to the president of the publishers of the Ghana Publishers Association, Asari Konedu Yamwa, and also the head of NACA, and that is the Curriculum and Assessment Body, official body for the state, Professor Edward Appiah. Shortly, we'll hear from the biggest teacher union. What is the national picture as far as the textbook situation is concerned? We'll get a picture from there. You want to stay with us for that, and I want to hear from you also. News Night starts now. Tonight, controversy over textbooks after the Curriculum and Assessment Body found unapproved books in schools. This has left NACA on the collision course right now with the Ghana Publishers Association. But really, what is the textbook situation in our schools 4 years on after that curriculum was approved? We'll hear from Nat shortly. Also tonight, details emerge about the exorbitant cost of an ECOWAS-led war in Niger. Less than 24 hours before military chiefs meet in Accra to draw up a plan of attack.
The debate must be about the national interest. It's not about an ECOWAS decision, and it's not about multilateralism. It's about whether the intervention serves Ghana's national interest.
Meanwhile, the Christian Council is set to take its opposition to any military intervention to President Akufo-Addo himself.
Our basic agenda is to encourage the president to explore diplomatic and peaceful means and processes to resolve this matter and not go in for the military intervention to start with.
And tonight, if you're going home, I want you to share with me your traffic light situation, because there's so many of them dysfunctional in most parts of the capital. It's heightening the commuter risk tonight to road crashes as users demand immediate intervention by authorities.
Car used to knock people here. Just last week, there was an accident here. It was very terrible.
It's very bad. It's very bad. We beg them, they should come and fix the lights.
In business, all major oil marketing firms adjust prices of petroleum products by a significant margin at the pumps.
And in sports, how to folk to get 25,000 capacity seater stadium soon, as board chairman reviews search for a land is already underway.
And you want to stay with us because we'll take you into the election headquarters with just 10 days to the MPP Superdelegates Congress. Flag bearer aspirant Dr. Owusu Akoto is crying foul, alleging intimidation and a grand scheme by government to deny payments to contractors perceived to be supporting others rather than established candidates in the party's race to be flag bearer.
Those contractors who are not seen to be for this candidate, they are not paid. They are, when they've completed their jobs, they're being punished for just saying
supporting somebody else.
Exactly. It's even worse than between NDC and MPP.
And you also want to stay with us because later we have climate focus. We will hear why agriculturalists are advocating a return to indigenous food cultivation.
You should hold on to these foods which are based on history, based on your place, that are satisfying to people, that are nutritious and diverse, and then also in line with the environmental context.
I want to hear from you, 055-1111-997. We stay with that developing story over the textbooks following a visit to some of the schools today, unannounced visit by the National Curriculum and Assessment Agency, NACA to be very specific. That's the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, and they have been discovering that there are many unapproved books, textbooks in our schools, and largely related, as we've heard from the Ghana Publishers Association, to government failure to print all the textbooks required for schools across the country. They have told us on Top Story a short while ago that only 48% of the books have been printed. Well, NACA disputes that, but the evidence on the ground is schools still are using unapproved textbooks, and NACA discovered it for themselves today. But let's bring in NAT, because NAT is the Ghana National Association of Teachers, the biggest teacher union we have currently. They will have a clearer picture of what is happening on the ground. I want to bring in right now the leader for NAT, who is joining us for a conversation right now. We'll also go to Parliament and get a view there also, because they also toured the country at some point. President of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Dr. Isaac Owusu, is with me on the telephone line right now. Dr. Owusu, thanks for your time here on the Newsnight. So tell me, you have teachers across the country. What is the textbook situation? What is the reality?
Well, Evans, thank you for having me this evening, and a very good evening to your cherished listeners. The issues concerning the textbooks. Evans, if you could remember, last year we had discussion on the same subject. And for us, if agents, organizations and institutions will fail to work with their own timelines, this is what we will see. Because since 2019 that we introduced a new curriculum at the primary and KG level, when GES, even GES are responsible for the teachers, not NACA. NACA's job is to approve textbooks. It is one thing approving the textbook, and another thing for the ministry to procure the books that the NACA has approved. As I speak to you, since 2019, the schools are with 5 textbooks out of the 8 subjects that the children are doing at the primary level.
Repeat that again in terms of the numbers you have in the schools.
The schools are with 5 textbooks out of the 8 subjects that the children are doing in the primary school.
4 years after the curriculum was approved?
4. And even the 5, it came in pieces. You know, for the past years, we've been advocating and been making noise. And if you could remember, even last year, the minister gave the publishers 120 days, claiming that they are producing all the textbooks. As I speak to you now, we have only 5 textbooks in our schools. And NACA's going around. You see, the schools are under the authority of the directors. GES headquarters is the one who send the books to their various directors at the regional level. The regions have stores where they keep these books. If NACA wants the exact number, you don't go to a school and ask the children, do you have all the books? And they said, oh yes, but we have decided to shelve some. No teacher has shelved any book. Because we have even told the teachers that, look, the book, whatever book is that is there, it's for the children. So how can you bring books and then we said, oh, we are shelving some?
So, but is it true that some of your teachers are having now to resort to unapproved books just to make up because of the challenge with not having all the books?
Well, I am unable to confirm, but you see, if you leave a vacuum, certainly somebody will fill it for you. If from day one we told the teachers that, look, do away with the old curricula, with 8 old textbooks, because right after the training, for the 1 week training, you are going to be given a new curricula plus a new textbook, and 4 years now. So when you create a vacuum, certainly some few people will fill it for you. But I'm unable to tell whether it is confirmed that people are using illegal books. They went round, so they will be the best people to tell us.
But I'm curious, not President, that so the children are still writing exams. So what textbooks are they studying to write these exams on a yearly basis?
What the teachers are using is a resource pack that was given to them during their training since 2019. And the 5 textbooks that are there, so that is what the teachers are using. And you see, currently, those who started with the new curriculum in primary 6, they are in JHS 3 now. So presently, we are even waiting to see what kind of exams are these people going to do now that they are going to Form 3.
So Do you have any clarity? I'm just curious. Have you been told when you can get a full complement? Because there have been assurances in the past, right? I wonder if you've been given a new deadline.
We are yet to receive any new deadline. So maybe we'll be grateful if you can get to the ministry for them to give us any updates.
We'll try. Thank you very much. That's the president of the National Association of Teachers speaking to us about the situation we've been telling you about with the textbooks still. Dr. Isaac Owusu, thank you very much. Let's bring in the ranking member on the Government Assurances Committee. Maybe they will have an answer to that question that Dr. Isaac Owusu, who's the president of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, has asked myself. Thank you, Mr. Blessuti, for your time here on Newsnight.
Thank you, Evans Mensah, for having me.
You went round, spent some time touring the country to establish the situation with the textbooks. You finished, you came back to the house, you got a briefing, I believe. Were you giving a time frame at all when all these books will be supplied?
Thank you, Evans. I was listening to the officer you just finished interviewing, that is Dr. Owusu, right?
Yes.
And in fact, he has nailed it. All the things he's told you was what we found on the ground. You know, as a committee, our responsibility is to follow up on promises and assurances made by ministers on the floor of Parliament. You know, members do file questions regarding developments, challenges in their constituencies. So in 2021, the minister, responding to a question by an honorable member, made a promise that by 2022-2023, they would have finished distributing textbooks to all the schools across the country. So based on that, our committee invited the minister somewhere last year, to appear before us. So when the minister appeared, we posed a question to him that you made a promise on the floor of Parliament that within a year, your ministry was going to finish the distribution of textbooks to all the schools across the country. Has that promise been fulfilled? Evans, the minister told us, was emphatic before us, that they had finished distributing textbooks to all the schools across the country. So as a committee, when you appear before us and say that you have been able to implement or deliver on your promise, we'll do verification. So we decided that we'll follow up to some schools, even though we can't have time to tour the entire country. We've selected 2 regions, Greater Accra and Central Region. Evans, almost all the schools we went, only 5 textbooks has been distributed out of the 8.
In fact, that's exactly what the NAT president also just confirmed. But let's make progress here. So the reality is what we've just been talking about. NACA itself found a bit of that today. What should happen now?
Evans, we are currently on break. We are planning to present our report on the floor and debate it. If possible, we invite the minister. You know, in Kenya, somewhere last year we're in Kenya, also we have to let you, the media, must help us let our laws work. When you fail on your promise, when you fail to deliver on your promise as a minister or an appointee, you step down or you are fired. Because you go to Kenya right here, about 2 years ago, 3 ministers were fired for failing to deliver on their mandate. Do you understand? So it is about time as a country. Yes, I'm listening to you.
Are you suggesting the education minister should be fired for this?
He should resign or be fired. Because, Evans, every ministry, as a country, ministers present their budget to the finance ministry, and the finance minister comes to Parliament to read the budget before the country. You know that. So if you have presented your budget and all these things were captured in the budget, that at the end of the year you want to do A, B, C, D, and at the end of the day, if you are not able to do that, where is the money? What did you use your budgetary allocation for?
Well,
are you getting my point?
I do. Thank you very much, Ranking Member on the Government Assurances Committee in Parliament, John Kwabena Blessoti, giving us his thoughts on this after they are told the country. Also, hopefully we can get some clarity from the Education Ministry on this matter. The publishers have said that as far as the contract they got is concerned and what was procured is 48% of what the schools actually need. NAT just also says it's 5 out of the 8 textbooks that have so far been supplied. Let's see if we can get a clearer picture on this very matter. And many of you are joining us with your thoughts because this is an important subject for you. It relates to the education of your wards. Send me your thoughts, 05511111997. This one has no name, but it says the professor is toying with your questions. Few textbooks has been provided. These teachers as well know the GES drags feet when it comes to procurement. That's why they are reserving some for the future, he explains. Also, Joel in Apollonia says, let the world hear it that the JHS has not received one textbook as we speak. The 5 textbooks being mentioned relates to the primary school only, not the JHS. Too sad. Okay, so the junior high schools also have that issue. Also, with the thoughts on this particular subject, many of you also join us with this. This one is, Adakpa says some schools have received only 2 textbooks, science and creative arts, or only God knows what our learners will write. Let's get some clarity now. Kwesi Kwarteng speaks for the Education Ministry and joins us now with some clarity on these matters. Mr. Kwarteng, thanks for your time here on Newsnight. So, have you procured and supplied all the 8 textbooks that are required?
Yes, Evans. First of all, good evening to you and your listeners. The Ministry of Education engaged publishers to print and distribute textbooks to the various schools. Recall that at the basic school level, there was a review within the curriculum where we introduced the standard-based curriculum. And consequently, we had to print textbooks to commiserate with the introduction of the curriculum. Through that, our engagement with the publishers, we resolved that as at last year's September, all publishers should print the books and distribute them to the various schools, of course, using the Ghana Education Service Track. So what it essentially meant was that after the printing of the books would then be taken to the regional GES offices for annual distribution to the district offices and, of course, then to the schools. For instance, you have organizations like USAID who also gave us quantities in the amount of 3,742,624 textbooks. You have publishing house like Prof. Kwam. You have publishing house like York Press, Afram Pub, NNF Publication. They are all local publishers also helping with the printing. So far as the Ministry of Education is concerned, and of course, I personally went on. I mean, you guys were there. You joined us to, if you recall, back press around the Tesano Road, where we inspected some books which have been printed, and even at that time, we also witnessed some distribution. Of course, if we are hearing today that some schools, particularly those, I have not heard the names of the schools, but if you are hearing today that some of the schools have not received their books, what probably essentially means is that it could be just challenges within the distribution chain, which quickly we have to check and resolve.
But you had NAT, right? NAT represents the teachers and they are in the classrooms. NAT precedent is clear that only 5 of the 8 textbooks have been supplied. And he said even the 5.
In
some
which
of the schools,
can we get a school so that
the NAT president is speaking is giving us a national picture, I assume. He didn't mention a particular school. But he says the schools, 5 out of 8 have been supplied.
Evans, if we are able to identify the school, what it essentially means is that we'll be able to identify which district it is and then confirm whether or not indeed they have received their distribution. Of course, when it comes to distribution of books, I mean, you have a human interface with it. So, I mean, nobody will run away from the fact that there could be some distributional challenges.
Another set of facts.
I am London. As I speak with you, you have publishers who have presented their how do you call it, their invoices and their quotations to the ministry, and we are working with Get Fund to pay them. Are we suggesting that some way, somehow, these are people who didn't work and they are just coming for their monies?
You talked about publishers. You talk about publishers.
I'm listening to you.
You talk about publishers. The publishers. You also talked about publishers. The publishers. The president of the Ghana Publishers Association was also on the show, and he also says only 48% of the textbooks that the schools require were procured.
Only 48%
of the textbooks required by the schools in this country were procured from them.
I am unable to validate such claim, but so far as I'm concerned, the ministry engaged publishers to print core textbooks, and so far as I can confirm, what we, the ministry, can attest is core textbooks has been printed. Of course, he may not be entirely wrong when he says 48%, because if you look at the courses or the subjects that students ought to do, you have the core courses and of course some elective courses, but the ministry engaged them with regards to core subjects. So he may not be entirely wrong to make such claims.
Yeah, I mean,
but of course, it is something that I'll have to verify and confirm.
So if you say core is what you printed, that's an admission that we still have challenges with the full complement of textbooks the schools require, either the basic level, junior school level, or the senior high school level.
At the end of the day, if you look at, for instance, a level like the SHS level, distribution of textbooks has already been distributed. We do not have any peculiar challenge there. At the basic level is where we introduce the new curriculum, that is the standard-based curriculum. And that is where books distribution, we needed some intervention with distribution.
Yeah, Mr. Kwarteng, but
book distribution.
Yeah, but Mr. Kwarteng, this is such a major indictment on the education ministry, that even as we speak tonight, you are admitting there may be challenges in distribution. Even if you disregard the evidence that NACA itself found today, that schools and head teachers were telling them today on the ground that they don't have the full complement. So the textbooks, as corroborated by the NAT president, and in the classrooms, that is where it matters most. Whether you printed and distributed it or not, if it ends in the classrooms, you have failed.
An SHS conversation. We know we've not introduced any curriculum at the SHS level. So
I'm talking at the basic level now. I'm just restricting. I'm just restricting myself to the basic level because not speaking to that. My question answers to the basic level.
Fair deal.
Because you changed the curriculum there. As we speak tonight, the evidence on the ground is schools do not have. NACA itself found evidence of that today. If you want to disregard what the NAT president says, that is a massive failure on the part of the education ministry. In fact, the ranking member says the education minister must resign.
Are you saying NACA confirmed that there are no textbooks in the schools? Is that what you are saying?
NACA was on the ground today. They visited schools. Head teachers told them that they don't have the full complement of the books.
No, I am asking you a question.
No, I'm just answering that question.
NACA confirmed that there are no textbooks in the schools.
I'm just telling you what NACA found. I mean, Mr. Kwarteng, NACA was in the schools today. They found schools with not all the full complement. Head teachers say they don't have the full complement of the books.
I think what you are doing is, at the end of the day, we are just keep shifting goalposts. At the end of the day, I have confirmed to you that when it comes to core textbooks, the ministry engaged publishers and have printed and have distributed them.
But those same publishers say you only procure 48%. And you say you don't have the information, you can't verify that. But that's what they say.
Come again?
Those same publishers you are now referring to say you only procured 48%.
No, but I never said anything differently. I'm saying that we engage them to print core textbooks. I never said anything differently.
By the way,
unless of course you are claiming that I said that we engage them to also print elective books, and for that matter, the earlier claim that I made was invalid. I have never mentioned elective books. What I said was that so far as the Ministry of Education is concerned, we engage publishers to print core textbooks.
Mr. Kwarteng, bottom line, final question. For parents listening to you right now, the children in school, all they need, and the teachers, they need the textbooks. When will they get all the complement of the textbooks in the schools, distributed in the right quantities for them?
Come again?
For children in schools, the teachers and the parents listening tonight, all they want the textbooks. All they want are the textbooks. When will they get the full complement of the textbooks in the schools in the right quantities?
The ministry can confirm that we've engaged publishers. Publishers have printed textbooks and distribution has been made. If there are any challenges with the distribution lines, quickly we are going to, of course, work together with Ghana Education Service and make sure that the distribution indeed get to the schools that do not have. But I would have been glad that in all these claims that you are making, you would have cited that school A or school B does not have the textbooks. Then we quickly go and resolve it. Can I land respectfully? If you sit on radio and all you do is to sensationalize and make
Mr. Kwarteng, you cannot take it there when your own agency, and they were on the show a few minutes ago, NACA, says they work under you, went around today. Have you checked with NACA? Have you spoken to them? You are putting a blame on the media when your agency, just a short while ago, was at Belinda was at the Manchetaki 1 primary school and found that that school did not have the full complement. That is the education ministry's job. There's no sensationalism here. It is what NACA found. Have you checked with them?
Evans, you are just telling me and giving me an instance.
So you don't know. Don't assume that there's sensationalism. Say you don't know. You just said you don't know some stuff. Say that. I don't assume there
no,
is
I don't think this is fair. Evans, I don't think this is fair. I asked you earlier that which school. You failed to inform me. You just came back, make it and mention the name of a school. Of course, were you expecting that as a spokesperson for the ministry, I keep about 1,000 or 2,000 schools in my head?
Well, but the point I make to you is that it's not my job to tell you which schools do not have textbooks. That's not my job. It's your job, if you printed the textbooks, to find out where they are, not mine. Do you understand that?
I can hear you. Can you repeat what you said?
I'm saying it is not my job to tell you where the textbooks are and are not. You print the textbooks, you spend the taxpayers' money, you must know where they are and whether they're in the schools or not. You disagree with that?
It is not your job, but when you make claims and you are put on to assist with the ministry to resolve whatever challenge, you have to verify and validate the claim that you make.
Well, Mr. Kwarteng, I have not made any claim. There are 3 very authoritative voices speaking on this matter. Nat has spoken on this, 5 out of 8. Publishers, who you gave the contract to, you confirmed that, said 48% of the books. NACA found today that some of the schools they visited did not have it. That's not my claim, sir.
But you see, this is something that I did not run away from. I told you that we've distributed textbooks, but if indeed some of the schools have not received their textbooks, it is something that we are going to check within the supply chain and then resolve it.
So if you are going to check, why are you insisting that I should take the responsibility of doing your job by telling you which schools?
At all.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. That is the spokesperson for the Education Ministry. Let me hear from you on this matter. It has to do with your children, by the way, as far as the textbooks are concerned. 055 1111 997. And many of you, by the way, are getting in touch on this matter. I'm a teacher in the Volta region. I can confirm that we do not have textbooks. We only have science and creative arts textbooks. I teach class 1. It runs through all the classes. Concerned teacher, he says, into bracket, anonymous. This one says, I can confirm that we are using unapproved books for the children. We can't go to class and tell stories to children. If not black market in school, we would have collapsed by now. Evans, 4 years till now, only core subjects are printed. He says, it's a shame. Also this one, that is Nana Kwama Boateng in the Blukuma Center, says the Education Ministry should, as a matter of urgency, make provision for the full complement of the textbooks to all schools. I think it's been long overdue. A few more of your messages after business. And then we'll take you to Niger, by the way, where, as you're learning tonight, there is a lot of activity ahead of the security chiefs meeting tomorrow. And details are emerging about the exorbitant cost of this ECOWAS-led war in Niger, if indeed happens. Meanwhile, the Christian Council is set to take its opposition to any military intervention to President Akufo-Addo himself.
Our basic agenda is to encourage the president to explore diplomatic and peaceful means and processes to resolve this matter and not go in for the military intervention to start with.
That's after George Weah is done with business. What do you have in the headlines, George?
Well, Evans, all the major oil marketing firms adjust prices of petroleum products by some significant margin at the pumps. We'll be finding out what drove these huge adjustments. And industry prices are going up. What could be the impact on the price levels for goods and services in the coming months? The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Allianz Life and Ghana Pay.
Man, I heard there's a new app on the streets that does it all for you.
Ah, really? How is that possible?
Charlie, I also could not believe it too. But I downloaded the app and I'm telling you, I was able to chat with my friends, make video calls, and...
Well, we know of many apps that can do that.
Oh, let me finish, la. I was also able to listen to the latest songs, play games, and read the latest sports news.
For real?
Yeah, and I can send and receive money from the app. Amazing, no?
What's the name of this app?
It's called Ayoba.
Ayoba?
Yeah, Ayoba.
Get Ayoba, your all-in-one app that lets you chat, call, share, play, pay, and listen to music all in one app for everyone. Enjoy Ayoba with MTN and download the Ayoba app today. Everywhere you go.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302-764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website, www.kingdomgh.com.
No matter your water needs, Syntex has it all. Syntex Tank was first to introduce double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank was first to introduce white inner layer tanks in Ghana, and now introduces the customer specs order, which will let you order any color and size you want. Syntex Tanks gives you the biggest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you. So whatever your water consumption, size of project, or demand, choose Syntex Tank. Syntex Tank, stress-free. Syntex Tank, reliable. Syntex Tank, maximum guarantee. Call 0244-335-168, Kumasi 0505-555-666, or visit syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough.
Media Sambisanda Moa. Etiam Ratiano, Mumu Pan it will fit no Podom Pemana Yakono. Eh, Quabna. No Mumu wants me to be just Mali Marian in that day. And the crow, complete Miri number of Pimusan, so you super excellent eba. I had a binding to Braye, who see it in a mobile, some man I want it. Sir, I need now could you soon use super excellent Chaco, Nanny dear, a mouse, who you could fit that. No, what you ask you, my mother feel you. Hey, go you. Yeah, Pepsodent Heba and a Pepsodent Charcoal. A idea, you're gonna natural.
FDIJ Jadian Katuyatu.
Business on Newsnight. Now, all the major oil marketing firms have adjusted prices of petroleum products at the pumps by some significant margin. Some of them have even gone up by more than 1 Ghana cedi per litre. But what influenced the significant jump? There is more in this report.
Goil, which commands about 18% of the market, is selling a litre of petrol at 13 cedis 50 pesos, while diesel is going for 13 cedis 90 pesos per litre. This represents more than 1 Ghana cedi increase per litre when it comes to the products sold by Goil. Total Energies has also gone up by some similar margins. However, for Shell, it has been reviewed by just under 1 cedi for both of the products. Star Oil, on the other hand, witnessed smallest margin of increase to sell diesel and petrol at 12 cedis 49 pesos. Based on the price that Joy Business has picked up on the market, all top 4 players have adjusted prices of their products. These 4 firms control more than 40% of the market in terms of product supply. Some of them have told Joy Business that the increase was as a result of the increasing prices of crude oil on the international market, which has been influenced by serious supply challenges. Many are worried about the impact of this development on inflation going forward, as it could trigger an increase in transport fares in the coming weeks.
And that is the Business Desk report. Meanwhile, Bank of Ghana sold $20 million to the bulk oil distribution firms to aid imports of petroleum products. However, its rate was going for 11 Ghana cedis, 34 pesos in terms of each dollar that was auctioned to these bulk oil distribution firms. Now, the producer price index for the month of July this year has gone up by some significant margin to reach 32.7%. Now, this measures the inflation rate of farm gate prices when it comes to manufacturing firms and industries in the country. Professor Samuel Kobninian is government statistician, and he has been speaking at a news conference in Accra today.
The producer price index for the month of July 2023 stood at 196.3 relative to 194.7 that was recorded for the same time July 2022. Given these two indices, prices of goods and services between July 2022 and July 2023 have gone up by 32.7%. On a month-on-month basis, a producer price inflation of 0.8% has been recorded for the month of July 2023 relative to 0.6% that was recorded for the month of June 2023.
Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobninian. Ex-employees of defunct GN Savings and Loans are appealing for President Akufo-Addo's intervention for the institution's license to be restored. They made this call at a news conference in Accra today. Isaac Atasenyako has the rest of the story.
At the time of the revocation, the company had close to 5,000 direct and indirect employees, over 1.3 million customers, and 300 networked branches across the country. The regulator revoked the license of GN Savings and Loans Company 4 years ago, stating that the company was insolvent and had breached the Bank of Ghana laws. However, the ex-employees insist a chunk of the liquidity issues was as a result of government's failure to honor monies owed its customers. On the adverse effects of the revocation on the livelihoods of ex-employees, the group had this to say.
Life after the revocation of GN license has been terrible nightmare for majority of the employees.
The coalition also called out the inability of the receiver to salvage the assets of the company, as they claim many tangible possessions of the bank have been left to rot. The group believes the Bank of Ghana could have resorted to a more progressive and human-centered approach to remedy the situation.
Isaac Atasenyako with that report. The 2022 National Best Farmer Nana Yao Sapon of the Fairs has launched an initiative to help, that is, the Rethink, to help inspire the youth to embrace agribusiness as a profit-making venture. The 2022 National Best Farmer believes this initiative will help the youth to appreciate the opportunities that the agri sector offers to them.
The Rethink program is a clarion call urging our youth to perceive agriculture and the opportunities along its value chain
as more than a traditional vocation, but an avenue of boundless opportunities that is fulfilling and economically rewarding. Advocacy is the heartbeat of change, and through We Think, we seek to amplify the voice of the youth in agriculture. We will engage with policymakers, collaborate with industry leaders, and catalyze a movement that secures that resources, infrastructure, and support necessary for our young agri-warriors to flourish.
2022 National Best Farmer Nana Yao Sapon Sebro the First. Let's turn attention to the stock market. And if you're a shareholder of EcoBank Ghana, it was down by 48 pesos and is now worth 4 Ghana cedis, 32 pesos. Ben's Oil Palm Plantation was up by 1 Ghana cedi, 40 pesos and is now worth 15 Ghana cedis, 40 pesos. City General also went up by 78 pesos to close at 8 Ghana cedi, 67 pesos. And those are numbers of how some shares fared on the Ghana Stock Exchange today. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
Hey, you ever buy credits where you get up to 20% of your money back before? Like I tell you about Vodafone's demo promo. See, anytime you recharge a demo, you get up to 20%, whether it be short code or your Vodafone cash wallet, or you don't use credit transfer to your number or someone else. And now you be high tech, so you don't use my Vodafone app or any payment app. However you do, Vodafone go send you up to 20% cash back. Into your Vodafone cash account. Who reload here? But then you enter. Top up your airtime with 5 Ghana cedi or more in Vodafone's demo promotion and receive 20% of your money back straight into your Vodafone cash wallet. Recharge and cash out in the Vodafone demo promotion.
Vodafone, further together.
Hello?
My guy, tonight what's up? What be the agenda?
Bro, we enter town. We go pick level for 1957 bar. Then we go pre-game for Usu. After we fit enter streets, hit Aliba, then jam for some other side. But not necessarily in order. Last we will take the last show enter club.
More options in order.
You know see, but today be you the bill.
Oh, you don't get problem. As I get Express Pay.
With all your wallets and cards in one place on Express Pay, you get to chill and casa with no worries. Send money, pay bills, and transact effortlessly. Our 24/7 customer care is always available to assist you. Download Express Pay and enjoy life with the option of all options.
You're still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. Now, amidst the bustling capital's daily hassle, an alarming issue has emerged, placing the safety of daily commuters in danger. The reliability of one's efficient traffic lights has declined, leaving many key intersections in a state of dysfunction. This disorder has led to chaotic road scenes as vehicles navigate without proper guidance, raising significant concerns about the escalating risk of road traffic accidents. Samuel Mbura from our Drive Safe campaign team monitored the situation within the capital and reports.
Dysfunctional traffic lights have become a concerning problem at key intersections in the capital, leading to chaotic road scenes and an escalating risk of road traffic accidents. At Awushi Ablikuma intersection on the N1 Walker-Bush highways, frustrated commuters highlighted the dangers they face due to this issue.
It's difficult for us because if you want to cross and then there is no police around here, it's difficult. At times, car used to knock people here.
Just last week, there was an accident here. It was very terrible. So we are appealing to you, especially you Joy people, the media, so that whatever we will say, I think it will go beyond for the government to also come to our aid.
Before you cross one, almost 10 minutes, and then another 10 minutes before we get to it. It's very, very worried.
In another instance, the Avenue traffic intersection, a crucial road leading to Accra's business district, has been marred by malfunctioning traffic lights. Drivers like Kofi Ansah express disappointment in the negligence by authorities.
They should come and fix this light. If not that, they want accident to happen here before they will come and fix it. It's very bad. It's very bad. We beg them, they should come and fix the lights.
This problem extends beyond daily disruptions, presenting an unfavorable image of the country's traffic management to visitors. The situation wasn't different at the UPSA junction, where drivers have endured dysfunctional traffic lights for over 2 years.
I think as a traffic light, no mutimi ebesiesie maya ebeboa ya yewa hanu so because yenso yewa hanu our life is at threat at times.
We've had terrible accidents at this intersection. Our appeal is for authorities to fix the situation for us.
This ongoing challenge does not only disrupt the urban flow, but also underscores the need for prompt attention and effective solutions to restore safe and efficient traffic management. Reporting for Joy News, Samuel Mbura, Accra.
Kwame Kodia-Chahene is Director of Regulations, Inspection and Compliance at the National Road Safety Authority. Joins us right now. Thank you, sir, for your time. Mr. Chahene, you issued a directive last year for the urban roads to fix these dysfunctional traffic lights. What's the update on that?
Well, thanks so much. I think it's work in progress. When we issued and gave the timeline, they got back to us with feedback on work that's been done and also work that is being done on some of them. As a matter of fact, the feedback was that they acknowledged some of the defects and indicated that they had initiated a procurement or contractual process to get them fixed. Between the 60 days given, when we went back, some had been fixed and others were part of the lot that they explained had been given on contract. I was admit that between then and now, some of the traffic lights that were observed to be non-functional at the time had been fixed, whereas some other new ones have found themselves within the lot. So that's what we can report on.
Well,
at the moment.
What must happen now? Today we went round. The situation is pretty out.
Again.
What should happen now? Because the problem persists. Today we went out, and you should just see the number of traffic lights not working. Putting all of
Yes, well, we intend to do an audit again and brings him to the attention of the urban roads. But Evans, I would like to encourage, much as we do this, the Department of Urban Roads is a duty-bearing institution like the National Road Safety Authority. And at some point, they had to be speaking on their behalf. In the morning, would want to encourage you to urge them to come out of their self to try to provide some of these explanations. What they indicated to us as a response to the notice was that some actions have been taken on some of them. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, about 54 to 60% of those that were dysfunctional at the time of reporting had been remedied. Nonetheless, between then and now, we get onto the road environment and we observe that a number of them are getting into those conditions again. We will do an audit and bring that to their attention, give them the deadlines again, and hope that we can have some resolution. But it's an ongoing problem. In fact, at the last communication to us, they indicated again that some of the lights go off temporarily out of power-related issues, not to suggest that they are permanently dysfunctional.
Well, Kwame Kodia-Chahene, thank you very much. He is the Director of Regulation, Inspection and Compliance at the National Road Safety Authority. Listen, I want to hear from you. I'm pretty sure you're driving home tonight and you're wondering what's happening to that traffic light on your route. So share with me. I've seen many of you, some of you actually sharing pictures of your dysfunctional traffic lights. Keep sharing. I will share some with the rest of the world too. Now, the Christian Council is tonight mobilizing to deliver its message of opposition to any military intervention in Niger to President Akufo-Addo himself. Now, the Christian Council's resolution comes less than 24 hours before ECOWAS military chiefs meet in Accra to develop a plan of attack with the objective of restoring democratic rule following the coup that toppled the government of Mohamed Bazoum. Now, the Council is just the latest group to publicly oppose any form of military intervention. More on that shortly. But first, ahead of the crucial meeting of the ECOWAS Chiefs of Staff in Accra tomorrow, we are learning more about the potential cost of military intervention as detailed by the ECOWAS Commission President himself. Kofi Ajay with our data analysis team joins me with more on this. Kofi, last month, the ECOWAS Commission President, Dr. Omar Aliu Tuare, briefed the UN Security Council and put out some numbers. What are we looking at?
So we understand that the bloc is considering two options. The first is to set up a brigade of 5,000 troops at an annual cost of $2.3 billion US. The second option is the deployment of troops on demand at an annual cost of $360 million, Evans, and that's the two options currently on the table.
And that second option is what you're taking right now because
Absolutely.
we don't have a standby force in that permanent sense. And so we are talking about the $360 million. That translates to $30 million.
So we are looking at 30 million per month, 7.5 million per week, and $1.1 million per day.
Okay, and that's what ECOWAS will have to come up with to finance this. And each country, from what we're learning, will have to feed their own soldiers and provide equipment, etc., as they go in. So that clearly puts in a picture. Does the Defense Ministry have the budget for this?
Right, so we are looking at the Defense Ministry, whose budget for 2023 is around 3.74 billion Ghana cedis. That's around $380 million US, and we understand that this budget is supposed to be increased by 13% in 2024 to $4.23 billion US. Now, if you do the breakdown, heads of headquarters and agencies alone, we are looking around 3.5 billion Ghana cedis. Construction of forward operations, that's the Northern Border Security, we are spending close to $262 million Ghana cedis. Defense advisory services, 10 million cedis, and ammunitions and other accoutrements around 10.2 million. That's around $1 million for 2023.
So there isn't a line item there that
Absolutely.
anticipated this, and that suggests that if we have to do this, we have to find the money somewhere to finance our participation in this military action in Niger. Well, author, conflict and security analyst who also consults on the UN-AU joint planning for AU peace support operations, Colonel Festus Abwaje, says aside the monetary hurdle, Ghana will struggle to come up with the troops needed for a successful military operation in Niger.
To go into active combat. Here you need seasoned active combat people, what we call the TIF arm, infantry, armor, artillery, and so on. I don't think we have the numbers. Forget about what the minister is saying.
All the ECOWAS or Ghana?
No, Ghana and all the other ECOWAS countries. Because currently, every country is committed. For Ghana, we have commitments to the UN. And the last time I heard the General, Winfred Jandu, speaking, it's close to 3,000, thereabout. So whatever numbers you read, those 3,000 are not here. And we have this thing that we call 3,000 under UN operation, let's say, another 3,000 standing by to go and replace them in 6 months' time. So that commits you to 6,000. Now, the 3,000 who come back home, who return, for welfare reasons, must recuperate and send people end to end back to Afghanistan and so on and so forth. We don't have the numbers. Then at home.
So even Ghana, we don't have the numbers?
I don't think we have. Even in Ghana, we are fighting internal security operations, aren't we? Mm-hmm. So we have commitments in that.
See the military constantly.
Now, if you take your seasoned active officers and men and commit them to Niger, then you are weakening your effort in these internal conflicts. You see what I mean? This is why I said the debate must be about the national interest. It's not about an ECOWAS decision, and it's not about multilateralism. It's about whether the intervention serves Ghana's national interest.
Well, in Ghana, opposition to a military intervention in Niger is growing. Tonight, the Christian Council is mobilizing to deliver its message of opposition to President Akufo-Addo himself. Reverend Dr. Sirifai Osei is the General Secretary of the Christian Council.
We are pulling our resources together so that we can have a meeting with the presidents to state our position on the matter. So we are going to do that. And this is a precursor to what we are going to do behind closed doors. with the presidency and the government in power.
And your bid will be to either understand what's happening or implore the president to withdraw from a decision he's already taken?
Our basic agenda is to encourage the president to explore diplomatic and peaceful means and processes to resolve this matter and not go in for the military intervention to start with. Military intervention can be a very, very last resort.
And as a Christian Council's head there, Reverend Fayose. Let's do sports now. Hello, Ms. Bao.
Hello, Evans. Well, it's hard to folk are there in the news, and the board chairman Togbe after the 16th. He has reviewed the club's plans to construct a 25,000 capacity stadium that meets CAF standards for hosting games. Now, Togbe made this announcement during a recent gathering of the club's stakeholders, and he says that the search for a land for the stadium is already underway.
That is infrastructure, and we are on track to also filling that. After the movement is done, the only thing we don't have or will not have is a big stadium. CAF requires minimum 25,000 capacity stadium. So that is, after all this, that is the next thing we have to do. But I can assure you that the board, as visionary and future-oriented as it is, has already started looking for land for that stadium.
Of course, Evans, we know that Togbe himself has consistently pursued a transformative vision for the club, evident in projects like the Pobiman Complex, which is nearing completion, has already been utilized by the team for pre-season training. Well, the UEFA Super Cup final is pretty much is going to be underway in some 3 minutes from now. Manchester City and Sevilla will be playing that game, and I'm sure I will bring you updates of the outcome in our subsequent bulletins there. That's it for sports, brought to you by Pepsodent Herbal and Chaco Pepsodent. Every small matters.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bao. Now, experts believe producing indigenous food crops is more environmentally friendly than commercial agriculture practices, since it uses less water and fewer chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Now, these ancient agricultural methods preserve soil biodiversity while nourishing the food that grows. Farmers, experts, and agriculturalists all agree that the moment has come to return to indigenous foods that are rapidly becoming extinct. Now, Joy News Mohammed Nuruddin reports there is a growing effort to encourage farmers to embrace indigenous food cultivation.
Indigenous food such as wasa-wasa, tubani, gabli, sunkwila, and even TZ from millet are now becoming extinct. This emerging sector potentially build long food chains, leaving the food system dependent on global food imports. As weather patterns change, this has resulted in greater food unavailability in some communities.
So this is poha. We tried it last night in our dinner.
A study conducted by Dr. Sarah Veselo, assistant professor at the University of Toronto, on the impact of globalizing local and urban food systems on food security, calls on local and national decision makers to promote and safeguard indigenous food systems and the biodiversity they protect.
Where I come from in Canada, our food system has been transformed in the name of profit and not to feed people. So the only people who can afford food that is nutritious, that is not toxic, that is culturally appropriate are wealthier people. And all of the industrial foods in the West are considered cheap foods, like KFC is a poor man's food in Canada. We see emergence of the loss of.
Dr. Veselo wants Ghanaians to hold on to their traditional foods.
And so I believe that you should hold on to these foods which are based on history, based on your place, that are satisfying to people, that are nutritious and diverse, and then also in line with the environmental context.
Professor Jasper Abimbia of UDS College of Communication and Media Studies is at the forefront of efforts to ensure that existing policy to improve access to indigenous food is implemented.
Because we are almost losing our food culture, because everywhere you go, people are interested in what? Maggi, cooking with Maggi. So you go to the village, if there's no Maggi, the woman is not going to cook. And I'm asking what happens to Dawa Dawa. This kind of links to the dispossession of people's food culture.
Sumani Ibrahim, Municipal Crop Officer of the Savilhu Department of Agric, says indigenous foods are essential because they can withstand challenges.
We were almost eating everything organic because there were no such synthetic chemicals that was applied to our food products. They were not using fertilizer.
Muhammad Al-Hassan Seidu, a farmer from Savilhu, feels the same way.
All the foods you are talking about, who produces adwa? Is adwa not a valuable crop? Who is producing it? Everybody is trying to soybean because somebody is just telling them go there, go there, go there. You understand it? I decided, Savilhu, I went to Andu, Cheripuni area. I tried to adopt a village to produce fonio. I piloted some at the animals and their fields there because the residue, animals will take it and system. It was successful. But who is going to promote? They are not interested.
Scientists recommend, among other things, revitalizing local food production system at the household level, developing laws to promote and support farmers, and promote agro-biodiversity.
And Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin with our climate focus report there. Interesting indeed. By the way, that's it for News Night tonight. But just before I go, guess who is intimidating me right now? She isn't my boss, but she can be difficult. And guess the topic she's discussing with her guest today: difficult female bosses, myth or reality. I have one female boss, and I've had one before. The current female.
Have one female boss now.
And I've had one. Yes, of course, obviously, she's my commander in chief. She isn't that bad. She can be difficult sometimes, but not that bad. And then I had Matilda Asante, who used to be my boss. She was lovely. She was extremely lovely. I mean, the loveliest boss I've had in a long, long time. Yes. Oh, sorry. I unfortunately didn't hear you. You're greeting her.
Hello, Matilda. Good evening. How are you? If you're listening to us.
Yes. So that's my experience.
Okay.
What's yours?
So you've had a good experience.
I've had it largely, yes.
I mean, I don't know. It's been mixed. Some of my former female bosses have been a bit difficult. You know, today I was with a few students from GIG, and they were even talking about some of their female lecturers and the fact that they're a little bit extra stern and a little bit more easily offended by lots of the youthful exuberance. So that's just from a student's point of view. But I mean, statistics show that when a woman is in leadership, the company tends to do very well because of a woman's natural inclination to attention to detail. Abeku is like, I'm speaking a lot of English.
Yeah, you're being a boss right now.
But you also hear the you know, and we did a poll, and so we have a lot of comments. People generally don't have good experiences when it comes to female bosses. There's they say a lot of emotions, a lot of manipulation, a lot of, you know, just a lot of things. It's not black and white all the time. But I mean, so we're going to explore what it is. And then also for pushing for women in positions of power, then we need to have these conversations so that women know the perceptions that may be hindering them from being able to get into. Wow,
well,
that
listen,
was a lot of talking.
It started already. Stay with them and listen to what they have to say.
Thank you, Evans.
Later, have a conversation about difficult female colleagues. I think that's another.
That's also the difficult, yeah.
There, I'll tell you.
And then maybe a conversation about difficult wives.
Yeah, that too.
Since we're on the difficult theme, yes. All right, thank you so much, Evans. That was Mensa with News Night. Coming up next is Strong and Sassy with myself, Animwaa Anim-Addo, and my really, really interesting guest. So we're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned.